Jennifer Sisko returns. Mirror Tuvok is missing his goatee, and Sisko does some phaser double fisting. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Okay. Hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we are reviewing Deep Space Nine Season 3, Episode 19, called Through the Looking Glass, directed by Weinrich Colby and written by Ira Stephen Bear and Robert Hewitt Wolf. How are you, Cirroc?
I'm doing good. I thought this was a good episode today, Through the Looking Glass. I liked it.
Yeah, you didn't notice the Sisko double fisting with the phaser? I thought that looked really cool when he had two phasers and he was like...
Yeah, I did notice it. I didn't refer to it as double fisting, but that's your language. But I did see that he had two phasers, and they were long barrel guns, which like the old 45s with the long barrels on them, and I liked it. Actually, I like to see him shooting the two guns at once, and actually wanted to think and ask you if it had been done before, because I don't remember seeing anybody firing off two guns at the same time.
Yeah, I don't remember ever seeing that in Star Trek either. That's why I noticed it. I didn't even remember him doing it in that episode until I saw it. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, like holding the double fisters and those Colt 45s. Remember, what's his name? Billy Lando Calrissian, when he did the old Colt 45 commercials. You remember those?
No, I do.
I like to drink Colt 45.
Yeah, that wasn't the best move in my opinion. But that's a different story right there. That's a different topic.
Maybe you're right.
I just don't think it's a good thing to endorse products that are hurting your community. And that's just how I look at it. So when he was doing those Colt 45 commercials, I was really kind of against it because obviously he's a big figure in the black community, and him endorsing, drinking malt liquor was not the best thing for us. So there's a ton of product out there that he could be endorsing that, doesn't have a negative impact on our community.
That's an interesting point, and we won't get too sidetracked on that, but it's funny because from my point of view, which is obviously different than yours growing up, I thought it was so cool. Like, oh, that's so awesome. But you're right. From your perspective and theoretically from his, maybe it wasn't the best move socially. That's a good point. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, I would, in hindsight, ask him if he's okay with that. I know he was well compensated, but some things, are just outside of what you would probably want to do. I know that Hennessy, for example, had a campaign where they used Marvin Gaye's image, and Marvin Gaye was, long since passed away, but he personally had an issue with alcoholism, Marvin Gaye. And so for him to, in his, post-demise, be used in some kind of campaign for alcohol, I'm sure he would be against it because it was something he was personally battling with. So I think that we have to be conscious of those things. We endorse products or, endorse organizations. You want to make sure that they're not a detriment to your own community.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm still trying to. Billy D. Williams, is that his name? Yeah, Billy D. Williams.
Billy D. Williams.
Yeah, that's a good point. That just thinking, like, I wonder if now, back then, maybe not. Maybe he was just like, hey, I just want the money. But now in hindsight, if he looks back and says, I wish I hadn't done that. Now I want to endorse some yoga or something like that. That's an interesting thought.
Yeah, I don't know if he's put any thought into it. I personally just disagree with it. If I think that it was going to be something that's detrimental to people, or kids are going to be out there and influenced by it and adopt a certain lifestyle, it's not going to be something that I want to put my name on.
Right. Good point. All right. Makes me think of candy cigarettes too. Remember those? Can't believe that. I can't believe that. I can't. Looking at it now, I can't believe that even exists. Candy cigarettes and Big League Chew.
Yeah.
I still love Big League Chew. I still think about Big League Chew. But then you
I
think
still
about
love
it.
Big League Chew. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was like chewing tobacco, but
Yeah.
I don't know too many kids that make the transition from Big League Chew to chewing tobacco.
Hmm.
But I do remember those candy cigarettes, and I think that was terrible marketing and just all around a bad idea.
Right.
You know,
Because looking at it, you say, what else could they possibly be doing than trying to get kids to buy their products when they get old enough to do it, right? I mean,
that's the
no other
problem.
thing.
Yeah, I mean, and we see that now with the vapes and the vape pens. You know, a lot of those flavors are marketed towards kids.
Same thing.
You know,
Same thing. Yep.
same thing. So it's a sad part of our reality, but we have to protect our children and be conscious of what we're doing.
Above everything, I agree.
Above everything.
So let's talk about the mirror universe, from the shitty things that happen in our lives to the mirror universe, which is supposed to be, the bad universe, I guess. In some ways, in other ways it isn't. You said you liked the episode, huh?
I like the episode. There were a few things that I had a little bit of technical difficulties with. Specifically, the fact that O'Brien shows up and kidnaps Sisko, but I don't see how he transitions him to this alternate dimension. I don't see how the alternate universe is, how he's able to get there.
What's funny is Robert Hewitt Wolf and Ira Steven Bear, who wrote this, they've told us in the past that technobabble is boring. They don't like writing it. And of course we agree. We're like, when they say technobabble, we're just waiting for them to finish saying it to get back to the plot, right? So It looks like sometimes they probably just go, let's just not even talk about how, okay, he transported him. Chief O'Brien, he can work miracles. You get it, whatever, moving on. And then we're like, yeah, but how? They're like, stop making us come up with how and just enjoy the story.
So I abandoned it after, about 1 minute or two, and it said, hey, how the hell are they getting over there, And I said, you know what, just let it go. They're trying to tell the story, and, forget about the science of it or the logic of it. Just abandon your logic and reason and go with the story. And when you start to do that, really, you get absorbed in the story. And, once again, I got to take my hat off and commend Nana Visitor, who is just such a tremendous actress and just amazing in this episode as well, continuing her long line of just amazing performances that she's delivered on the show. And her as Mirror Universe Intendant, Mirror Universe Kira, she's just so captivating, so charming, so in control, badass boss woman, and I love it. And I think that it makes the Mirror Universe special.
Right. There's some roles that you're given and you just knock it out of the park, right? But there's some roles that you're given at where you're really embracing the role. You're really living it, and that's the case with Nana, and she's owning it. You know what I mean? Like, she's not just playing the role and doing her best. She's saying, I am going to own this role. I'm going to just turn these words on these pages into a fully blossomed type of character that's never been done before. I mean, you could see that she's really soaking it up. She's really it's like a T-bone steak to her. She's just enjoying every word and every bite of it. And that's what makes it stand out. And I'm sure that's the kind of stuff that makes writers encouraged to do more of it. They're like, dude, we got to get another episode with her.
Yes, and we always talk about performance and how actors take what's written on the script and make it better or enhance it or personalize it. And what she does in this, in her performance, in the personalization of it, is she's so playful as this character. And her wickedness, her evilness is it's a charming type of evilness, which is really special to watch. It actually reminds me of kind of like Gul Dukat.
Right.
and the way he likes to, be in charge, but also be, really poetic in his speech and almost musical in the way he delivers his performance. And I think that Kira does the exact same way in her leadership position. She is very musical and very playful, and and the charm and the wit and the humor. She does a lot of laughing in this. She laughs when she's killing people, or when she orders them to be killed. So she's like, how are we going to kill you? And it makes it interesting, as opposed to, we're going to kill you, you die, you this, you that. It's more like you can see she takes pleasure in these kinds of things. So I think that's really great.
When you were saying that, I actually got an impression of like a Disney evil queen kind of thing, where they're like, ha ha ha, kill him, or you know what I mean? Like one of those, like what's her name? Mother Gothel in Tangled, for example. One of these kinds of characters that are just like so deliciously evil that you love them, and not even like evil so much. It's almost like a lovable evil, right?
Right. Right. It's a lovable evil. It's like this sensual, really, dramatic performance of evil. And it's like a character that you love to hate, and that's what she creates.
So we're going to try something new here on the 7th Rule, because we've got so many cool things to talk about and so many specific characters that we want to get into right away. So right now we're going to do a telepathic poll. Do you want us to cover Sisko's session with Dax? Which do you want us to cover first? Sisko's session with Dax, Tuvok popping up, or Jennifer Sisko? We'll cover them all, but which one first? So just think about the answer. Okay, so it's Tuvok. All right, here we go. All right, it was a close one. It was a close one, guys, but it's Tuvok. I think they just want to get that out of the way because this was during the first season of Voyager. This was kind of like maybe how far into, maybe midway through the first season of Voyager. So the writers probably said, hey, how cool would it be if we incorporated Tuvok? And you notice, of course, he was only in like 1 or 2 scenes because he was probably working that week on Voyager as well. So they couldn't use him a ton. And it was really cool to see him. I'd forgotten that he was in this. What did you think when he first popped up?
Well, we saw him, Tim Russ, the actor, play a Klingon earlier in
the second season,
series,
right?
In the second season, right. So when I first saw him, I said, where's his hair and his Klingon stuff? And then I said, okay, no, this is Tuvok. This is the Vulcan. And I was pleasantly, surprised to see him. I didn't expect to see him in this episode. So yeah, it was actually good to see him. He's a great guy. He's one of the cast members of the other shows that have really grown close to us, the DS9 cast, and has worked with us innumerable times on other projects. So it was a pleasant thing to see him in this particular episode. And I hadn't thought about the fact that Voyager was now running on the air, so he was actually doing 2 shows at this time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's a good point about Tim. Just a quick word about him as a person. He's a great guy. He's tons of fun. We know him really well. He's a friend of the show. He plays in an awesome band. They play shows in Hollywood and West Hollywood. Sometimes they go out to the Valley in North Hollywood and Reseda even, where the Karate Kid was filmed, as everybody well knows. And his band is so much fun. They're called TR Crew. You could just look up Tim Russ online, timruss.com or whatever it is. Just Google Tim Russ. We can add the website down below, and he shows when his appearances are. Probably not playing anytime soon, but once the pandemic's over, he'll be back to that. And he's a great director, a great actor. I've worked with him on multiple productions, Renegades, Fifth Passenger, Blade of Honor, to name a few. Sometimes he's directing and acting. Sometimes he's just acting with us. In Blade of Honor, he played like a Jedi Master kind of character. And his disciples one of them were his daughter, Madison Russ, and a bunch of other people, but his second in command disciple was Mr. Aron Eisenberg. And that may be one of my favorite roles of Aron's, because Aron played like a Jedi Master type, like an Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he was so good at it. He was like calm and centered and wise, you know? And it was just a really fun dynamic between the two of them. Anyway, just wanted to mention that about Tim being like multi-talented, really.
Yeah, he is a multi-talented, very good guy, jack of all trades. He knows so much about so many different things.
Yeah.
And he's just a great person to have a conversation with and just, you know, talk about different things in the world. He's so aware of so much. So
right.
Big shout out to Tim Russ and the guest star in this episode. But I also want to talk about this Dax kiss.
There we go. All right. Anyway, so that's out of the way. Oh, before we do, I forgot this telepathic poll just popped up too. They also said, hey, if we're enjoying this, what should we do? And well, the answer is, please make sure you subscribe. Make sure that you hit the bell icon on YouTube for notifications. If you'd like to be a part of the team and you'd like to throw $1 or yen or Canadian dollar or Australian dollar, does everybody use a dollar? Or a euro, pounds, whatever you got. Throw us $1 and become part of the team. We really appreciate it. If times are tough for you, which they are for most people, no problem. Just subscribe to our channel, like it, comment, share it. That's a free way to help us, and we will continue to try to entertain you to the best of our ability. Dax's kiss. I thought about you almost every minute of watching this episode, because I want to know your take on. So Sisko and Dax have been friends for a long time. They've never really had, you know, this sexual tension or whatever, but Dax is a very pretty lady. And now Sisko is in this position to where this very pretty lady that he's always worked with is used to having sex with him whenever she wants. So she just goes, hey, we're going to have sex right now. And he's like, oh no, I better not. And she's like, sex first. And he, for the good of the mission, he has to do it. How did you feel about that?
Well, what a predicament. What a tough predicament for Sisko to be in. So difficult to be the captain certain times, you know. I felt envious. I felt envious of Mirror Universe Sisko. It was it was kind of it caught me by surprise, because there's absolutely been no chemistry between the two of them as far as, you know, sexual chemistry. And previously in the past, he's been referred to as old man, and he kind of sees her as
it's kind of a turn off,
old man. It's kind of a turn off, yeah. So, but there was no old man reference in this particular in this moment, and he was you know, sticking to accomplishing the mission. But you know, it definitely caught me by surprise, especially the fact that Sisko was basically kissing everybody in this episode.
Right.
And Dax was the beginning of that. So I thought it was pretty. I thought it was good, and actually, I enjoyed seeing Dax's performance, because she also has really made a real 180.
You're right.
On what we're what we're used to seeing as Jadzia, and I thought this was a chance for her to step outside of her character and play something different. And she was very good at being this flirtatious and you know, sexually driven person, where she is completely the opposite as Jadzia. So kudos to her and her performance as Mirror Universe Dax.
You're right. I found it perfectly believable too. We know that Nana Visitor could do it, but that doesn't mean everybody can. Doesn't mean it always works. Sometimes the writers will write something, because remember, they're writing something for which you were not cast. So you can't naturally expect somebody to be able to play a completely different role for which you cast them. Maybe they can. Maybe they're a diverse actor that can do all kinds of different things. Maybe they aren't. You know, kind of like it if they hired Rom to play Rom, or Max Grodenchik to play Rom, and then in one episode he needs to be an action hero. Maybe he can't do that. Maybe that's not in his wheelhouse, but it's really nice. It's really fulfilling to see when they write a completely different role for somebody and they just happen to knock it out of the park. And real big kudos to them for that. You're right about that.
Yeah, I thought she was, Terry Farrell was very believable as this character. And, there was even a moment there where Jennifer Sisko at the end is talking with Dax. Mm-hmm. And Sisko walks in the room and Dax gets up and she's like, yeah, she's all yours now, or something to that effect. And she walks past Sisko like, I'm done with you now because I know that you've got this other person that you like or love, or, mm-hmm. And it was kind of it was a nice little, it was no words between her, but it was just the moment, the eye exchange I really liked between Sisko and Dax in that moment where she was walking out of the room after having talked to Jennifer. And I was like, okay, I think our little side fling is over with. I can't do this anymore with you.
What would have been funny is if if each time he kisses one of the women, they lean in, they're about to kiss him, and then they smear off the previous woman's lipstick off him. They're like, what's going? Okay, now, or like they kiss him and they're like, did you eat garlic? He's like, oh no, Dax did though.
Oh, that was Dax. Yeah. That was.
Sorry, she really likes garlic. Anyway, we do have to take our very quick break right now. Before we go, we do want to say a quick shout out to Carmen Shamwell, PJ Thomas, TJ Jackson-Bey, Bill, Victor Arucan, Yvette Blackmon, Dennis Koch, Homer Frizzell, Eve England, Anne-Marie Segal, Titus Mohler, and Mr. Tim Baum. We've got so much good stuff. We're going to talk about Jennifer Sisko because I was thinking about some really fun stuff with that too. And we'll be right back on The Seventh Rule. Hey everybody, welcome back to The Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton. We are reviewing Deep Space Nine, Season 3, Episode 19, Through the Looking Glass, and we're having a blast. We said a bunch of stuff just now during the break. Probably best that we didn't record it. And let's talk about, first, the trivioids. There weren't a ton of them because this was kind of a mirror universe thing where you just kind of get sucked into the mirror universe and there's less trivia. Jennifer Sisko returns. Morn has 27 vols in his storeroom. The Terrans are rebelling against the Cardassians and Klingons. That's not even a trivioid. Mirror Tuvok is missing his goatee. Jadzia calls Jennifer a witch. I thought that was funny. Sisko welcomes the Intendant with a smoocheroo.
Yeah.
Sisko has a subdermal communicator, courtesy of the Ferengi. And Sisko does some phaser double fisting.
Sure did.
So it was really cool seeing Jennifer Sisko. I thought that was a really smart move by Robert and Ira because it just expands the universe a little bit more. It's good to see her a little bit. And plus, you gotta know that Sisko's gotta be unbelievably conflicted to see his wife suddenly alive and before him. But he can't say who he is, and she doesn't even really like him.
Yeah, I mean, what a dilemma. And I thought that was one of the things that made this episode so special, because they are dealing with this weird dynamic of seeing somebody that's passed away, that you love, that's completely impacted your life, and now you have to see them again in this kind of context. You can't really be with them. You have to, they're fooled by who you really are. I mean, it's just so many things happening in this particular episode, which I thought made it really great. And it was great to see Jennifer Sisko again. I thought, and her playing a different version of herself, right? She says, there was a moment where she says, I hate you, I still hate you or something.
Yeah.
And it was kind of tough, I think, for me to hear. It was like, oh, wow, the exact opposite of where they left off in the real universe.
Right.
But yeah, I think that this episode was layered with a lot of really good emotional conflicts where people are kind of where Sisko's put in a position where he has to like cherish the moments that he's spending with her, but at the same time know that it's temporary and it's almost like a dream.
Mm-hmm. You know, what I was thinking, my mind kind of wandered. I love to play the what if game, but I thought about how cool would it be if he takes Jennifer back with him into the Prime universe, and suddenly Jennifer Sisko, mirror Jennifer Sisko, is back, and here she is on Deep Space Nine, and 16 or 17-year-old Jake Sisko sees his mom, and just what an interesting story arc that could create, especially if she stayed on the station like Keiko did, where she was just around all the time. And now she's a scientist. Maybe she starts working with Bashir. Maybe she starts working with Dax. And she has to get over her dislike for Dax. Like, wait a minute, aren't you, the hussy that was making out with my husband? I don't know. It really set up a lot of thoughts. And then the first thought immediately goes to Cassidy Yates, which is, well, wait, we're about to be introduced to Cassidy Yates. Wouldn't that kind of prevent that? Not necessarily. Then maybe Sisko still falls in love with Cassidy Yates. Maybe Jennifer Sisko doesn't want to date Benjamin Sisko, but she still has a very, but Cirroc, your character, Jake, would want to create a relationship with her, and she would obviously love, Jake, because he's a great kid. Anyway, it was just like a fun thought process to go with it. And I do wonder if the writers ever for a second gave that a thought,
Yeah, they probably did. It certainly would upset the apple cart and make everything completely different going forward.
Totally.
But yeah, I'm sure it's a possibility. That's the beauty of Star Trek, is that, there's pretty much limitless possibilities. You can bring people back from the dead. You can travel through time. And then you can actually recreate them in the holodeck or the holosuite. So I think, there's so many different options there for them. But I think they wanted to just bring that back to just kind of touch on the issue between Sisko. I think they wanted to put a little bit of closure on that, because he hasn't really been intimate with somebody else so far. He's been grieving this entire time.
Right.
So that's maybe an opportunity for him to kind of say goodbye to her in a face-to-face way, even though it's not really her. So yeah, there's tons of possibility there. But there's other things that I think are in this episode as well that are current as far as what we're talking about in our own headlines when we turn on the television.
Right.
And one of those things is there's this concept of a class of people that are the slave class or the lower class, the working class, rebelling against the what did they call them? The
Alliance.
The Alliance, yes, rebelling against the Alliance. And we're seeing that kind of unfold today in the headlines, where people are rebelling against the alliance of big government or the government or the system.
The powers that be, yeah.
The powers that be. And so you're seeing those kinds of issues play out. And so when I watched this episode, I thought about those things being, paralleled with our headlines, and the lines that they were using. For example, you guys are just all ex-slaves with delusions of grandeur. Like there's no possibility for this. And then they also mentioned the difference in classes. For example, they said that Jennifer Sisko was a privileged person who went to, a top science school and had this privileged life. And Sisko
she's one of the good ones.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then Sisko is the rebellious guy who grew up in the streets and learned his way worked his way up from the streets. And I thought that's an interesting parallel too in what we see and how we categorize people as, he's the educated guy who went to Ivy League or he went to college, and this is the guy who's just this, a street person. And those same kind of dynamics are still at play as well. So I think this episode is layered with all of those themes that are, like I said, currently in the headlines.
Right. And if you'll recall, the thing when I don't remember exactly how they worded it, but they said, like, what do you want? Or what are you trying? He says, we just want to be free. That's all we want. We just want freedom. And that's an echo of, 100, 200 years ago. And it's an echo of today, and as usual, Deep Space Nine has these themes that not only are recognizable from the past, but also seem to resonate today. They really have a knack for that.
They do. And so you see these two diametrically opposed themes. One is a group of people that want to be free. So I want to be free. And the other group is saying, you were born a slave, you'll die a slave, right? And so we're seeing these two themes kind of combat each other. And I think that, there was a line in this episode where Sisko says, do I get a vote? And they specifically said the word vote. And
it's a good point. I missed that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was talking about, do I get a vote on what's going to happen in my own life, or whether I live or die or whatever's going to happen to me. And Kira gave such a great answer, which I just, in her very charming, laughing, wicked way, she says, of course you do, but it doesn't count.
That's a Ducat line right there, isn't it?
Yeah. It was so great. And I just wanted to credit the writers for that because it was so, it's like, yeah, of course you get a vote.
Yeah, that'll be so cute. You go right ahead.
Yes, it just doesn't count. That's all. And so I thought that's an interesting line because a lot of people feel that way, in life. They feel like they don't have a vote in their life. They don't have a say, or their vote doesn't count for anything.
Right, they're not being heard. Yeah.
They're not being heard. They're not being represented. So I think these are the kinds of themes that they're dealing with in this episode. With rebellion, with freedom, with slavery, with voting and voting and having the ability to control your own destiny. These are really important themes, and I think they did a great job at touching upon them, all while telling this overall story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it almost seems like the mirror universe, the joke about the mirror universe usually is just that people are the opposite of their, of their mirror selves or whatever, But it's not so much that they're the opposite always, but it just seems like the mirror universe, everything is just turned up to 11. Everything is just more extreme. So, if things are sexualized in one universe, in the mirror universe, it's hyper-sexualized, or it's hyper-violent, or if people are mistreating people in this universe, they're just really mistreating them in the mirror. It just seems like it's much more of a jungle, much more of a dog-eat-dog jungle with no stability, no order, no rules. Just everybody is just, it's every man and woman for themselves. And the strong people like the Siskos and the Kiras, they come up in the world because they're survivors and they know how, to do it. And, Garrick, for example, Rom was great too in his part. We can talk about that a little later, but that's what it seems like with this mirror universe, at least.
Yeah, another person that I think should definitely be highlighted is Garrick and his performance. Andy Robinson as Garrick is just so amazing, and in this particular episode, he's so good at this particular version of Garrick. I laughed out loud when they were having the shootout with Sisko, and Garrick was standing behind the attendant, and they realized Sisko and O'Brien and the rest of them kind of left when she says, oh, you guys, she's talking down the hallway and she realizes that they're not there. And Garrick says, pursue!
Yeah.
And I when he gave the order to pursue, I thought it was kind of hilarious the way he stretched it out. Because we talk about playing with words, right?
Right, and dragging them out sometimes.
Yeah. Pursue.
There were a few fun lines in there in ways that. One thing that did make me laugh. Speaking of which, was when Sisko basically stole Kira's password, logged into her account, and changed her password. I mean, it felt like somebody did that to, it's like somebody doing that to your email or your social media account. He logged in, and then she's like, well, then I'll just take it back. He's like, I changed your password. She's like, you can't change the password. It's my account. Yeah.
That was like
great.
Something that we deal with now, like on a regular basis, right? Which is something. It's just part of the normal functioning of these password protected devices that we have. Right. And so it's so much more real today than it was when they were doing this episode, and none of us had mobile devices, right?
I do find myself thinking, like, when I see something that happening like that, I stop and I'm like, wait, this was like what, 95? Yeah, how did they know? I guess. But I'm like, what? These guys are really ahead of their time, with their writing. Like, I always catch myself like figuring out the year and saying, how did they know that that's what we'd be facing nowadays?
Absolutely. I mean, that's just the writers are looking way into the future in so many different aspects. That's another testament and credit to their forward thinking.
Right. So I guess if they're going to keep getting things, correct in their predictions, then that means pretty soon the next, all the rage when you're watching like MMA fighting and UFC is going to be people with like these moves, and they'll be fighting with the double axe handle, the hands clapped together. That's going to be, people are going to be like, how did we never realize how effective this fighting style is? Oh, and the other one I love, by the way, which was, on full display in this episode, was the high five to the face. They go, whoosh. They love, Star Trek loves that move. O'Brien knocks out a Cardassian with the high five to the face, the face five. Yes. And it just drops them. It's like, oh, well, I'm done. So that's neutralized.
Something
to look forward to.
Yes, I got to learn that move. It's a Muay Thai move, but yeah, if you can just hit somebody one time and they will not disturb you anymore.
Yeah,
they won't roll over. They won't try to recover from it. They'll just be completely knocked out.
Yeah, and who knows when they'll wake up, if ever. The high five to the face is a very powerful maneuver.
It is. It's very effective in this episode for sure.
Yeah.
We had a non-appearance message. Would you count Morn as a NAM?
Yes, absolutely. And I was actually trying to remember. I was trying to remember if you were going to get one, because I was wondering if Sisko tells Jennifer where he's from, then she's going to say, what? We were married in this other place? And he would say, yes, and we have a son. So I was trying to remember. I was like, wait, is Jake going to get a NAM today? But nope, just Morn. And I was also waiting to see if Nog would get one, because because Quark was saying, oh yeah, he's in the whatever. And I was waiting to see if Nog was going to be a part of that, but nope, none for him.
None for him. Yeah. I noticed that as well. And I noticed that I wasn't mentioned in this episode, or Jake wasn't mentioned. So it would have been something interesting to bring up. Like, yeah, we were married and we did have a kid, and he's, 17 now or 16, and this is what he looks like. And, something to that effect. He could have also, in one of your tangent theories here where, something else could have happened, he could have brought her back. He could have actually hooked up with her in this mirror universe and had another kid.
Wow.
Right?
Mind-blowing. And then you could babysit yourself.
Exactly.
You could babysit baby Jake.
Baby Jake. So that's also a possibility that could have been explored.
That is a really interesting one. That's one that Star Trek people would love, like those space-time continuum conundrums, but this one isn't really about time, but just about changing a parallel timeline. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So speaking of NAMs right now, I'm going to give us a quick rundown of the NAMs just while we're out at that. So Will Riker, Dr. Crusher, Cousin Guyla, Admiral Nechayev, and Cirroc each have 1. Morn and Jennifer Sisko have 2. Grand Nagus Zek has 4. Molly O'Brien has 5. Jake and Rom have 6. And first place is tied with Nog and Keiko with each 7. 7 NAMs each on them. So that's nice. A fun group. But those are the ones we knew were going to have the most. Nog, Keiko, Rom, Jake, and Molly. Those were the ones that we expected to get the most.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of more of the main characters that, are going to be talked about to some capacity or another.
Right.
Because you're talking to one of their other halves,
Right.
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
So now we've got, we leave off the rebellion, and we know that they're fighting against the Klingon and Cardassian alliance. Rom is in there. Rom was pretty cool in that, first he's on their side, then it turns out he's a double agent, then it turns out he's a double agent, That was a fun little twist for him. And I also noticed that he changed his voice style. Did you notice that?
No, I didn't. I didn't notice that. What kind of change did he make?
Because at the beginning of the first season, he was just called Pit Boss Frank, and he was just like, everybody move along, like that's what he sounded like. Now, as we know later on, he's like, okay, brother, and Moogie, he's like that. Now, this voice in the Mirror Universe was kind of in between the two. It was kind of like, the Rom that we know, but definitely a little bit more serious, So, and I'm sure that was deliberate. I'm sure he's like, dude, in the Mirror Universe, everybody's harder. Everybody is just all around harder. So the way he delivers his lines and his voice wouldn't fly in the Mirror Universe. He'd get eaten alive. So he definitely adjusted his delivery and his talk. He sounded like a regular Ferengi, basically, rather than the comical, extreme form that we know of him as.
No, that's pretty good. I also liked in this particular episode the scene where O'Brien is basically telling Sisko to punch Bashir.
Right.
And I just love that moment. He's like, Sisko would punch him right now. I think you need to punch him.
Sisko almost looked like he enjoyed that a little too much. He's like, I've kind of always wanted to hit him. Are you sure it's okay? So let's see. I get to have sex with Jadzia. I get to punch Bashir. I get to make out with Kira. Probably have sex with her. I get to cuss out Garrick.
And see my wife who passed away. It's like,
right. This is like a theme park for him. You know what I mean? Like it's a party for him.
Yeah.
He's gonna want to come back on vacation. Now when he has his vacation days, he's like, I'm gonna go to the Mirror Universe. I think I like that. I think I like it there.
Yeah. I got some things waiting for me over there. Yeah,
Dax will be like, can I come with you? He'll be like, no need.
No. I'll see you on the other side.
Yeah, you stay there. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, I was going to say this is like a wet dream for Sisko. But no, it's they also made a reference to more in this episode where Quark says, "Oh, that's going to break his hearts."
Yes, and he's got multiple hearts.
Multiple hearts, and I like that little. It was just like a little reference, but he's going to break his hearts.
I'm trying to remember. Does he have 4 hearts? I think he has 4 hearts, not just 2. I'm trying to remember. I know they reference it one time in. I think it's "Who Mourns for Morn" was the episode. In the comments below, guys, let us know. Tell us especially like in the YouTube comments. Tell us, does Morn have 4 hearts or 2? I think it was 4, and I think it was in "Who Mourns for Morn." but yeah, and then if that's when Quark is throwing him under the bus, he's like, oh, that's really gonna, boy, yeah, Morn's gonna be very disappointed. You know, like it's all Morn. Oh, poor Morn. Boy, that guy is gonna be very distraught about this.
Yeah. I didn't know he had 4 hearts, but that's actually good information.
I think it was 4. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and then the nickname for O'Brien is the Tinkerer. It's so
or Smiley.
Or Smiley, yeah. Smiles O'Brien. The Tinkerer is so demeaning to him, you know. I think it's just such a bad way to refer to it. Oh, here's the Tinkerer. And she's so evil and wicked when she says to, oh, whatever shall we do with O'Brien? You know?
Oh, that little stinker.
So no, I did like this episode. I thought there were a lot of good things. It passed by really quickly. Another thing I think I want to highlight is the guy behind you was our stunt coordinator, the guy with the one eye missing.
Right.
That was Dennis Matalone, and he did all the choreography for the stunts and did the stunts himself in many cases. So it was great that he got that little camera time right there because he did stand out. And he was an awesome guy. Still is an awesome guy.
And we do remember him from the previous Mirror Universe one. He was part of Sisko's crew in the previous one.
Yeah, and it seems here in this particular shot, he not only lost his eye, but he lost his eyebrow.
Well, it's probably going to happen. I mean, it looks like it's melted off, but
yeah, something.
But he didn't lose those golden locks, man. Boy, oh boy. Did he have that due? Did he have that due?
Yeah, that's his due. He has the Patrick Swayze, or I forgot which movie it was that he was wearing that, but yeah, he's a long hair guy.
Dirty Dancing, maybe.
Was it Dirty Dancing or
I don't know.
one of those Patrick Swayze movies where he had the fluff coming down.
Well, we're just about out of time. Before I start singing, I had the time of my life. Well, I mean, there are 2 of us. It is a duet. I mean,
no. Do
you want me to do the ladies' parts, or you do the ladies singing?
No, I think we'll pass on that one.
The time of my life. No. And I owe it all to you. Okay, whatever. Fine. I thought we were going to do it together, but I guess not.
No, you're alone on that
one. Hey, baby. Okay, so this is the part where we say, come back, guys. Come back. I'm done singing. Jake Sisko guesses the IMDb score for this episode.
Okay. And also wanted to say really quickly before I guess the score.
Please.
Through the Looking Glass. The title of this is it not from Alice in Wonderland?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just a little reference there. Little gem for the
yeah, we love it too. It's a great one.
Yeah, just for the fans that don't know or whoever doesn't know, but it is a reference to Alice in Wonderland. But no, I want to say that I would say this is a pretty well-rated episode. I'm going to go around 7.5 on this one.
Wow. When I was going to write it down, too, I took a guess. And I was like, oh, yeah, why don't I just guess before I copy them down? I guess 7.6, and it was a 7.6. So I just want to say, now nobody can check me on this, but I did. But it seemed like
accurately, yeah.
But look, we both were spot on with that, because it was definitely a good, fun episode. Nothing too crazy happened. It was just a good all-around solid episode, right?
Good solid episode. Really good performance. We've got Kira in there. We've got Andy Robinson in there. We've got Terry Farrell doing a great Dax. Sid Digg, I thought, held his own as the version of Bashir that he was. Yeah. And it was funny, too, because there was a moment also where Colin O'Brien was being referred to by Sisko and Jennifer, and it just made me think of O'Brien's statue in Lower Decks as being the greatest Star Trek character of all time.
Yes, sir.
Another shout out to Colin. So yeah, this episode was well performed. A lot of great performances in it. And we got a cameo with Tim Russ. I can't see it not being lower than 7.2, 7.3 because it's above average and it flows well.
It moved quickly. I thought it moved quickly. Before I knew it was already almost over.
Absolutely. So this is a great episode. It's just one more episode that is in the paradigm of Star Trek and the way they like to write their episodes. And it's another win for DS9.
And again, it was, what was I going to say? I mean, it moved quickly, and it was just one of these all-around, good episodes with no B plot. Remember, we were noticing before that sometimes they don't have a B plot, and it's fine. But what B plot could they have put in there? There really didn't need to be one,
No real B plot. No real B plot. And, one other thing I want to say with respect to the directing with Rick Colby, it is Rick Colby, right, that did
right.
This one. It's not easy to do those sequences where you're running around the corridors of the station and you're running around different hallways because we only have, X amount, so many hallways to film in. But when you watch the episode, it does look like they're running around chasing each other all over the place, and it's not the same exact section hallway.
Yeah.
Filmed differently, right? So that's another win for the director in this episode because it's not easy to get that much station on camera and making it look brand new each time,
Mm-hmm. Cool. So with that, we will run off. Thank you all to everybody that's joined us. And remember, we are going to do the free-for-all after this with some fun people joining in. So stick around, stay tuned, and always remember the 7th rule. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the 7th rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello.
We are also joined by Eve, England out in Wales, Commander Homer Frizzell, Dr. Anne Marie Segal, TJ Jackson-Bey, of course, Mr. Tim Baum, Rex A. Wood, and Yvette Blackmon. How you guys doing?
Good.
Right. Doing good.
And Mirror Universe Mohammed Noor.
All right, that's true. Mirror Universe Mohammed Noor. Speaking of which, so we just reviewed a Mirror Universe episode that was pretty awesome. So here's the question of the day. Yeah, Homer came up with this one, so he's pretty proud of it. If you don't like it, it's on him. The question is...
Whoa, way to throw him under the bus early.
Unless they like it.
Know what I came up with yet.
Unless they like it. The question is, what would your Mirror Universe character be like? Describe your Mirror Universe character. Oh my God, Anne-Marie is so stumped already.
Oh my gosh.
So she already declared her mirror self as Dr. Noor.
Who wants to start? We're going to start with Tim Baum because he's the only one that looks ready.
I don't know if I'm ready, but no, I mean, my mirror universe would actually be less angry, more compassionate. So, yeah, I don't know. It's like, yeah, I would actually be smoother in the alternate universe versus the bad Kirk. So, I'm still working on it.
He'd be a sweetheart, you guys.
Yeah. I mean,
he'd be just like Jonathan Frakes.
Yeah. I mean, I've been with Natalie 31 years, so I guess I'm okay. But, yeah, I don't know, maybe because of my military career, I'm angry a lot. No, I would actually be like a farmer in the middle of nowhere doing my 2 acres.
So your Mirror Universe character would be Bill Erickson.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's great. What about you, Mr. Wood, Rex A?
Well, I think my Mirror Universe person would be a lot more quieter than I am. Okay. I mean, I tend to talk a lot, so I think my Mirror Universe person would be more of a recluse, wouldn't have that type A personality. Probably would be a little bit mean, okay, more than what I can be. You know, I probably would be more callous about things and stuff like that. So I could see me being like really a grumpy old man. Okay, grumpy about everything. You know, that would be me. I'd be like that. I'm just tired of it. Get off my lawn. You know, that would be
Rex, that's me right now. So
yeah. So see, we would be like opposite.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that would be me. Just you wouldn't want to be around me.
Would you be a bookworm recluse or like a TV
Probably
watching?
Bookworm, because I don't read books now. I'm not a big book reader. You know, I probably would be that kind of recluse, long fingernails, you know, that Howard Hughes thing, live in a house, not talk to people, that kind of thing. Yeah, I think that would be me. Absolutely. Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
What about you, Yvette?
I don't know. Probably the same. It's a little more, just don't give a damn. But probably the same, but I'd be okay with cursing a lot more. I love to curse, but I don't curse anymore. Probably do that more. I probably do things I want to do now, but don't do because I'm a grown up.
Well, you're an avid runner and marathoner, so the Mirror Universe Yvette, what would she be doing instead of running? What other kind of sport or activity?
Oh, wow. Probably motorcycle.
Volleyball?
My kids. Probably just like real extreme sports, like I used to love, but now don't do because people need my paycheck. So I don't do those anymore. But like extreme sports, motorcycles and drag racing and all that kind of stuff. That good stuff. I'd be a little wilder, like my old.
You used to do that? You used to be motorcycling and stuff?
Yeah. My brothers used to make motorbikes out of parts. I used to ride those things. I used to ride that little tiny skateboard that they first had out. No, now they got this big one that looks safe. Yeah. Mine looked like a banana. Mm-hmm. I went underneath a car. I fell out a tree. That kind of stuff. I would keep doing that stuff. That made me happy. Not, I don't want to get hurt, but still, just
the adventure.
Free and do all kinds of stuff without worrying about it.
A little bit of evil Knievel. A little bit of evil Knievel. A little bit of evil Knievel.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
Well, it's the Mirror Universe, so it's the good Knievel.
There you go.
No, it's Yvette Knievel. That's
there you
go.
That evil. There you go.
Yeah, no, we remember those banana boards, right? Those little skateboards.
A green on one, and an orange one.
I've
What do they call them? A razor?
Oh, that's
Back
a fun
in
one.
74, I've still got my banana board.
No.
Me too.
Well, Anne Marie, what about you? What would a Mirror Universe Anne Marie do or be?
I wouldn't get excited about anything. And and I would wear turtlenecks because I hate turtlenecks.
Would she ever say, "Oh my God, best blank ever"?
No.
Obviously, worst ever.
Yeah, be the worst ever.
Hilarious, though, yes.
Where would she live?
Ooh. That I don't know, just because everywhere's fun. There are fun things about everywhere, so.
She wouldn't like Star Trek. She wouldn't like Star Trek.
Oh yeah, and she.
She hates Star Trek.
I hate reading.
Yeah. What would you say if somebody said, "Hey, you want to watch some Star Trek?"
Probably just a really monotonous short answer, no.
That would be the worst thing ever.
Yeah. Yes.
Especially if
Turtle
Ezra
Man.
Dax is
But
in it.
I'll read some Star Trek books. Yes.
Well, TJ, it's come to you.
Well, Mirror TJ. What would Mirror TJ be like? He would probably
JT.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know which end of the extreme spectrum I would go to, but it would definitely not be calm, cool, collected. and centered, it would be either like a sociopath or an extreme recluse somewhere. Somewhere on the other end of the spectrum. I'm thinking sociopath, because but like a sociopath with a cause, like
The
don't
Punisher.
mess with kids. Don't mess with kids, or I won't wait for the justice system. I'm gonna get you.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll be wearing a beret.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be a beret.
There you go.
Amazing.
Nice. Nice, JT. JT with the beret. Don't mess with kids, punk. And you'd have like an obnoxious voice. All right. Because he's got a very soothing voice. I like it. Well, Eve, what about you?
I think, well, James always ironically calls me Dangerous Eve because I'm so not a dangerous person at all, and everything scares me, and I'm always like, oh no, don't do that, you'll hurt yourself, or oh, that's dangerous. And we go hiking and I'm always sort of worried I'm going to fall off the edge and die, and absolute crazy sort of sense of fear about anything vaguely dangerous. So I think I would, in a sort of mirror universe, probably be somebody more like sort of Kira in the regular universe, who's just so gutsy and no fear, and yeah, it's just has a much more fun and sort of much more fun time, I think, than me. Because I'm just
Eve the wild child.
Yeah, I think it would have to be that, because I've just always just been more of a sort of indoorsy, bookish person rather than a sort of outdoorsy, active person. So yeah, that would be amazing, and I wish I was like that. Yeah.
Would you be American then? Would you be American then?
Yeah, that'd be cool as well.
The opposite of
yeah, I'll do that as well. Yeah.
It should be Annie Oakley just out there shooting everything.
There you go.
Kicking ass, not taking names.
Yeah. That'd be amazing. Yeah.
Also,
Well, you know, there's still time.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Your new bracelet looks so good.
Oh,
Mine
thank
got
you.
a mail from Melissa.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask you about
Oh, let's spotlight that one moment, please. Here we go.
Is it the Deep Space Nine cuff? Love it.
What is that?
It says Deep Space Nine in binary code, like
Oh,
in
yeah.
beads on the leather
wow.
cuff.
Yeah, it's very cool.
That's from Melissa Longo. The website is walkingartmadebymelissa.com, and you can order awesome bracelets just like that. And soon, berets signed by JT.
Yes.
Beret.
Well,
Strawberry beret?
JT and I are still waiting for our noggins, right?
Yes.
Raspberry beret.
Yeah. I was waiting for somebody to get that.
It took me a while, but I got there.
The fez is the right color.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good one. What about you, Homer?
Well, first off, I'm glad everyone is enjoying my question.
Yeah.
Wow.
It took a while to come up with. I think even though I came up with the question, I have to think about an answer, but I think I have something now. I think my mirror universe counterpart would be a bit more expressive, perhaps to the point of screaming at people and breaking out into uncontrollable bouts of maniacal laughter.
Amazing.
I think I would balance it out occasionally by watching soap operas, and binging them. So, yeah.
Well, you only have one life to live, buddy. So.
Well, then there we go.
It's addictive.
I'll watch that one first.
Boy, I knew there's something I didn't miss. Ryan,
As the world turns was the best.
Oh.
Guiding Light and Passions.
Well, I'm just saying, Victor Newman and Jack Abbott are waiting for you.
Oh,
I can see you doing that, Homer, being that really kind of yelling like that. You'd make a good villain. You'd make a good villain.
he'd be like Victor Newman, who is evil. Yeah.
Little
I
Lex
like-
Luthor.
I like that Homer was saying that his mirror universe guy would be binge watching soap operas to try to throw us off the scent, like he really doesn't binge watch soap operas right now. He's like, oh yeah, he would,
Brian's on
he
to
would
me.
be the opposite of me. He wouldn't binge watch all this stuff.
That's right. There's nothing wrong with The Young and the Restless.
Yeah.
Oh, that was another one of my favorites in college. But
I've acted in The Young and the Restless. I'll have you know.
You did?
Yeah, it's a fun one.
Wow.
Well, Cirroc, it's your turn.
Well, the one thing that I like about the Mirror Universe is like the highlighting of certain aspects of people's characters, and really making it big. And I really love Kira as the Intendant. I think she's just remarkable in that role. I like the way she's super flirtatious, like she's, which is kind of the opposite of how she is.
Right.
But I kind of envisioned that my character, I would be like how Avery was in this episode. I would hope that I'd be able to kiss 3 different girls in the same episode.
I thought you might be counting.
Well, yeah. So I mean, he was really flirtatious, and he's there's a level of charisma and confidence that he has, especially when with the women. So I like that aspect. I think I'm going to go for that one.
You think that instead of playing, go ahead. I was going to say, you think instead of playing basketball, that you'd be playing water polo?
Water polo. I'd be throwing darts somewhere in the cargo bay.
Yeah.
Would you be in a room without a ceiling fan?
Yes.
He'd probably have the heater on. Yeah. He'd have the
heater on.
Yeah.
A little portable heater in the corner.
Exactly.
Yes. It'd be a ceiling heater, one of the bathroom ones.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you'd wear a lot of sweaters.
A lot of.
And your internet would work.
Yes.
Oh, hey. You crossed the line, Rex.
That's the tough
Shots fired. Shots
fired.
But only if Mistress Kira allowed you.
Oh man, she's amazing. We're talking about the Intendant. So, yeah.
Now, I've given this a lot of thought because Homer, told me what his question was ahead of time. And I was thinking, okay, so Mirror Universe Ryan, every time he said a joke, people would laugh hysterically.
Oh, yeah.
They'd be like, people would be like, ha ha. They would carry him out on his shoulders. They'd be like, for he's a jolly good fellow. They would just, oh boy, what a likable guy he would be. And everything he said would be, on the nose, very clear in his thoughts and intentions, never a sarcastic word out of him. I think he'd be a really cool guy. People would love him.
Yeah, where is this guy?
Yeah, and he only eat meat.
He'll never exist.
Come here.
You'll never find him.
That's funny.
Well, if we have a couple minutes left, how about let's finish it off with a little bit more Mirror Universe thoughts, which is we already talked about once about like a Star Trek character that we would have liked to see in the Mirror Universe, right? Mm-hmm. We already covered that. So what were you going to say, Homer?
Well, first I just wanted to, you probably know, but the guy behind you with the one eye, the other guy. Oh yeah. So that
I feel
there,
like he was
in the first crossover episode,
right.
And he petitioned to be in this one. He's the stunt coordinator or stuntman. That's Dennis Mataloni, I think it is.
Oh.
Yeah, it is.
And of course,
that's Dennis.
Yep. And then of course we know Tuvok, and he's the same character, just better dressed in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, I did slam the uniforms with Voyager. Sorry.
Yeah, Dennis Mataloni was our stunt coordinator, and he used to walk around with a handkerchief tied around his jeans on one leg always. That was his signature look. And he would wear that handkerchief. If you asked him, hey, why do you have a handkerchief tied around your knee on your jeans? He would say, oh, this is for my dog Danger that passed away. So he would always wear this. And recently saw him at Aaron's funeral. The last time I saw him was at Aaron's funeral. And he still had the handkerchief tied around his
Wow.
leg. Yeah. So a little backstory on Dennis Medlin. Really good guy.
Did we just hear a dog? Yvette, was that your dog? The dog was like, I know I heard dog.
Yeah.
I have a question for Cirroc. We may have touched on it before, but I'm just curious why you don't, or Jake doesn't get to be in the mirror universe.
That.
And then if he were, what would he be like in the mirror universe?
Yeah, I would, I don't know why I didn't get a chance to be in the mirror universe. And it was crazy because in this episode, we had Rom in the mirror universe, which I think is the first time we saw him in it, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't know. I just think it would just be a little bit complex with Sisko and Jake in both in the mirror universe, and whether they would know each other or how they would know each other and the relationship between the two of them. That might have been the complicated thing for the writers to kind of work out. So I'm not exactly sure, but I definitely would have liked to have the opportunity to play some version of my character that I didn't before,
Why would you like to play in the mirror universe, Cirroc?
You could be one of the people who fans the attendant.
That's exactly what he's going for.
The attendant. It's all about her.
It's
and
about
you can wear
Mistress
comfy,
Kira,
monochromatic clothes.
Well, it might have actually been dressed better. The mirror universe Jake would actually be dressed very well.
So it'd be shuttle seats instead of bus seats.
There you go. And
more shots fired.
And would the mirror universe Jake be involved in Starfleet then?
He might be involved in Starfleet, which would be a nice way to, to put a twist on that.
With an agonizer and all that stuff, you'd have an agonizer.
What do they call Starfleet in mirror universe again?
I mean, they're just like the Terrans at that point.
Yeah.
The Terran Empire and Enterprise.
Terran Empire.
I say he's a spy. Like he's what Garrick is in this universe. He's the spy.
Yeah.
Super spy.
That could work. That could work.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'd love to watch that.
All right. Well, we're just about out of time.
It's so annoying because every single other person exists in both. So how come Jake's the only person who doesn't?
And you have
even Vic's on.
Just for Jake.
Fan fiction
idea. Yep, exactly. Right. Yeah. Great minds.
You would have the beard too. You would have the beard.
No, I wouldn't. But it's crazy because once again we had Jennifer Sisko in this one, and yet no mention of Jake at all. So that was another kind of interesting thing to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think there's somebody
that potential though.
Contacted and asked them why. Somebody needs to be contacted and asked them why.
Well, we've
that's
got at least two people.
Next time we get Ira on.
Right, we've got two people we can ask about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody needs to be. Why didn't he do that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good. I like that. All right, guys. Well, we got to run. But thank you all so much for joining us. Homer Frizzell, Eve England, and Marie Segal, TJ Jackson-Bey, Mr. Tim Baum, Rex A. Wood, and Yvette Blackmon. And for those of you at home, for Cirroc Lofton, for Aron Eisenberg, always remember the seventh rule.